My friend, it is 10 o'clock on the dot, so I will go ahead and kick us off and welcome you all to our follow-up session for District 53 on building stronger clubs. I am happy to introduce our facilitator and presenter today, Jaap Russchenberg, a former region advisor for Europe and our district mentor. Jaap, I will hand it over to you to take us through your presentation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Liz. The person who that, I think in March, I gave a presentation about how to build clubs. And I made a distinction between corporate clubs and about community clubs. And I got during my conversation with Liz, Jackie and Mohan, I got a question, can you extend a little bit more? What is the next step, what we can do? So, my intention today is to talk about what can be the next step for building clubs. But before I can do that, I'll give a small recap about what we talked about last time, so everybody is up to date. Does somebody have some questions in advance so I can anticipate on if you have some?
I did not receive any questions in advance from anyone attending.
And if you have some questions, let me know. Okay, I will share my screen. 1 moment. I will. So, if I'm correct, you can see my screen now. And I sit in front of the build. Okay.
We see you.
Okay. Okay, my name is Jaap Russchenberg. I'm a member since 2003. And my last role was region advisor. I'm still involved in the Toastmasters community. I call it the family because wherever I go in the world, wherever you go in Europe, I meet Toastmasters and they are just people like you and me, eager to learn and just like friends all over the world. I give a small recap about the previous session and I give some additional information about starting a new club. And that's the purpose of the whole session. I talked about last time about the objectives. What kind of clubs do we have? And I like to focus on 2 of them. What is necessary to start a club? And how do you make the first step to start your club? If you have any questions in between, if I go too fast, please let me know. I like to focus on the community club and the corporate club because you have the Gavel club and you have the student club and those kind of things. But I like to focus on those clubs. That's the most important one. The definition for a community club is a Toastmasters club that's open to the general public. And a corporate club is a Toastmasters club that is sponsored, hosted, and supported by a company and created specifically for the company employees. There's a big difference in the type of clubs and how do you have to approach those kind of building clubs like that. I like to start with the community clubs. I talked last time about you need initiators. Who wants to start a club? You have meet some people who are enthusiastic enough to say, I like to start a club. Club sponsors mostly come from district. And I mentioned 2 sponsoring clubs. In the Netherlands, where I live, we often, if we want to start a club, we ask a club to sponsor us. And not by support only, but even by financial support. I just helped another club, and they helped them too in this whole process. And they asked the club where they're a member of to sponsor the start of the club. And they got €500. That's approximately $500. There's a risk. If the club doesn't charter, then they won't get the money back. If the club charters, then the members are paying the money back to the club. And the clubs are willing to do that. The next step is investigate the market. Who becomes your target group? That's important. So, and then you have to register, of course, if you have everything done. The first thing is to do, register as a prospective club, Toastmasters International. Often people make the mistake to say, we start a club and we do the registration as a prospective club later when we charter. You must realize if you do that, you're not allowed to use the Toastmasters materials. Toastmasters materials can only be used if you are an officially prospective club. You have to discuss the fee, what you like to ask. And the fee can be what you have to pay to Toastmasters International, perhaps your rental fee, what you have to pay for the room, and some additional cost for, let's say, events what you like to organize. Think about the club meeting tool, what you use. Anything in the United States is pre-toast host is an important part. And then you have to promote the initiative. And the billboard you see over there, I was in New Zealand, in Christchurch, and saw this on the street. A big sign on the big column with expand your professional network, Toastmasters can help. I've never seen it before, and I now promote it to everybody. Use your imagination, and this is a great way to promote your Toastmasters organization in big cities. Okay, and up to charter, you have to find a location. Each meeting at least 15 people, and I come back to the registration and the social event afterwards, because I think a community club needs binding people. You need to find people who can work together and want to be together. And if you have a social event afterwards, I'm always going to an evening club. That means at the end, we always come together at the bar, have a beer or something else, and there's a nice chat. And if you're a breakfast club, try to do something else. Let's say, have a cup of coffee together with something else that people connect more than only having the meeting and then go home. Because bonding is not created by the meeting only. Bonding is creating too by creating a social event afterwards or before. And I gave last time to an example too. In Amsterdam, there is a club that is named the Taste and Toastmasters. They start, it is an evening, with a glass of wine and some nibbles. Halfway, they have a break. You have a glass of wine and some nibbles again. And afterwards, they go to the pub and have some beer or wine, etc. That's their, let's say, identity. If you go to the Taste and Toastmasters, you know you'll go for a glass of wine or something else. But that's the bonding factor in that club. Okay, but let's go to what is important for the club. I made some kind of a checklist. And I think what important is, if you want to think about a community club, who is your target group? Are the professionals? I'm a member of a club in Leiden. We are very close to us in bioscience park. There's a lot of young professionals from the university or from or have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. And they are working in the bioscience park, highly educated people. And that is our target group. And what happens? Those people notice I have to give presentations, but I miss some skills. And they come to our clubs to get the presentation skills. At the same time, they meet other people from other clubs or from other organizations, and they're networking. Students can be a target group. Entrepreneurs. We have a Toastmaster club in the Netherlands is really focusing on entrepreneurs. Or community members. Be specific who do you want to target. It makes it easier too to create your contact strategy. The social media you want to use with Meetup, etc., etc. So your contact strategy depends on who is your target group. So then you can start your promotion for that. Find your supporting clubs. That's if you want to think about if you have one or two supporting clubs who will help you in this initiative, they create a kind of a commitment too. They feel responsible for helping you to achieve your goal. And what I told you before, if you have some financial need, those clubs if they have a financial reserve, can help you. Some people make the mistake to say we need for a demo meeting experienced members. I'm not convinced of that. I think you need members people can relate to. Experienced member and non-experienced members. And non-experienced members, if they give a speech or an evaluation or in table topics, and people can relate to them, say, okay, I recognize myself in that person. He is shy, I'm shy too. So recognition is very important. That people recognize it themselves in the speakers or in the participant is important. And important too is if you have a meeting, later perhaps. So a good meeting, the venue is very important. If you have a very old venue with no ambiance, then it's not attractive for people to attend. If you have a neutral, accessible, professional environment where people can meet, then you attract professional people. People can say, okay, I like to come to this venue to have our meetings. I meet in a city center, and we rent a room. It's about $150 per night. And then it's professional, and all the equipment is available, what we need, and we have good meetings. And then important is for the meeting itself, I always tell people, if you want to create demo meetings, ask help from your members from the sponsor clubs. The more people attend, the easier it is that people want to become a member, because they say, this is a club I like to belong to. If you start a club with 2 or 3 people, and then you have visitors who want to visit your club because you want to give a demo meeting, it's not attractive for people to be there, to join you as a club. My tip always is try to find 15 people from other clubs and have a nice party. Create a meeting. Don't have a full meeting. Show a little bit about how Toastmasters work with 2 speeches, evaluations, doing Q&A, but fill the room with people. And as soon people are interested, ask them to fill in the membership form and ask them to pay the dues immediately. Because if they pay the dues, they are committed to come back. Because how often does it happen that you say, I'm interested, and I come back next time? And then perhaps they come back next time, or 2 weeks later, or 3 times later, but then they're not really committed. As soon as they've paid the dues, they're committed to become a member of your club. And the money what you have to pay Toastmasters International, you put it immediately aside. So if you have your 20 members, you have your money already available to do the first payment. Often, I'm just working now with a club in Rotterdam, and they have 26 members, and they want to charter, but now they have to find the money for do the whole charter process. And that's a whole problem, because then you have to pull people in, say, okay, I need the $65 from you, or no, and that is very complicated, and it takes a lot of time. So if you ask immediately the membership fee, put the money aside what you need for the charter process, the whole charter process will go faster. And this other thing too is, if people are a member, they feel part of the organization, and they immediately can access the Toastmaster material. They can pathways for the first level they can access to. So they feel more part of the whole family. And that is really important if you want to create a new club. This is what I call a checklist for starting a community club. Are there some questions about it? It's very fast in the first start, because I talked about it already last time and we took 45 minutes to talk about it. It's now, 15 minutes. But are there some questions about this whole process? Do you agree with it? Or do you say, I have some other tips?
It's Gillian
Not seeing.
from District 65. I would say that I really like the fact that you talked about putting the membership fees aside, getting them and putting them aside, because that's a really smart idea, because it already means that the club and the members have that commitment because they've paid up front. Thank you.
Jeff.
Yeah, hi, Jaap. To tag on to what Jillian just added, getting a little technical, where do you usually stash the the dues payments that you receive from members until the club's ready to charter?
In the Netherlands, we immediately register our club at the Chamber of Commerce. Doesn't cost any penny. And then I can open a bank account.
Ah, okay.
So I do not like a private bank account for using membership money, fees, or club money.
Yeah.
That's why I always open a bank account for a new club.
So, Jaap, in the U.S., historically, if there is a sponsor club that you can use their bank account.
Okay. Yeah.
One of the other things that you can do is once you submit your paperwork, your application to organize, and you get an EIN, assuming you get an EIN right away, I'd have to double check that. I know it's available, but you don't have access to Club Central until you charter. But if you can get the EIN that's affiliated with your club, you could start your own bank account. My guess is that the best bet is to leverage an account for a charter club, an existing club.
Okay. Every country has its own rules, and a very good that ask this question, Jeff, because the Netherlands has different rules than the United States.
Yep.
Yeah. And but I'm against that the private bank account is used for
Agreed.
Club funding.
Yeah, that's kind of why I brought it up. I wanted to make sure folks were clear on that.
Yep.
Mm.
Some other questions. Okay. Then I like to go to a corporate club is totally different. If you want to start a corporate club, for me it's more important that the Toastmasters program becomes part of the company strategy. And that is more important. So I see a lot of mistakes that people say, okay, let's start a company club. Then 1 or 2 employees take the initiative. I start a club and I find some colleagues to do it. But then the motivation becomes less and less and less because I have different appointments at this moment if they come together. I have to make a business trip or it becomes more difficult. And what you see, the lifespan of a company club, mostly if it starts this way, is 2 years. And that's why I totally think about a totally different strategy about creating a company club. It must be a part of the company strategy. And I'd like to discuss that. And for that, you need, of course, to find out who is your stakeholder. First, identity the company's vision and goals. What kind of company is it? If you have a company who are representing to a client is very important, then the employees must be skilled. But if you want to it's a part of a company strategy, you must find a manager who will be your, let's say, who wants to support this whole idea. So you have to find the decision maker who can make the decision in this. Because the manager want to say, okay, I want to support this, but it must be positive for me too. I must have a feeling that if we create a Toastmasters club in the organization, and I'm responsible for that, I'm accountable for that, it must be a success. So that is very important. And then you have the Toastmasters club. You have to find what kind of key factors do you need from the company to make it a success? Okay, and identifying decision maker depends on what kind of responsibilities. It can be somebody from HR, or it can be somebody from the education department who says it's important for me that people get trained in those kind of skills as leadership and public speaking. And if you have somebody in the company who knows a person like that, it's a benefit because you can be introduced to that person. But important is that it always must be a win-win situation. What's in it for the person itself? And if he can be successful by starting a club in the organization, then it's a win-win situation because then he will support it. But if the organization is, let's say, not so good that it will be a success for him, then he will not support it. So you have to be careful about how do you approach building a company club. And I made a kind of a checklist too for a company club. I think if you want to think about a company club, support from the corporation is essential. You have to discuss what kind of how can you use the time? Is it time during the work, in the break, lunchtime, or something like that? How does the company want to pay for it? To pay the full dues or not? What kind of facilities can they use? Very essential. There must be a consistent support, so it must be anchored in the policy of the organization that the Toastmasters program is part of the program of the company's educational program. That they want to benefit the employees by offering this training. And you don't call it the Toastmasters Club, but the Toastmasters program. And if the company say, okay, this is part for our policy, we want to support it, we pay for it, we give the facilities, then it must be part of the training catalog and published on intranet. It's important. The company itself must be the bigger promoter for your Toastmaster Club in your organization. And the company promotes the program to the employees. And they must nominate the participants too. So you mustn't try to find people who want to follow this program in the company as club or as group. No, let HR, let the educational department nominate the attendees, because then there is more motivation to attend the meetings. It's a part of the program, so people can be asked, okay, we offered you the opportunity to go to Toastmasters program? Have you participated in it? So you can integrate the results in the yearly review process. You can ask, okay, how many meetings have you participated in? Because you make it a kind of a responsibility for the organization and a responsibility for the participant, the employee, because they spend the money and the free time on it, or the time in it, you can see it becomes a more successful part of the whole program. And then if the company recognize the educational awards, and that is I have a nice example for that. We have a company in Holland. It's a Dutch company, international company. They have a Toastmasters club. And once a year, the executive committee has to come to the management and explain the club success plan and tell them what they have achieved this year. And at the end of the club success plan, and there's an explanation, they got a small bonus of $100 or something like that for their effort, what they have done. And people are really recognized if they achieve a certain goal. So instead of, if you compare it with a community club or a company club, a community club is an initiative by some individuals. And for a company club, it is really, you are trying to sell a product to the organization. And that's why it's very important too that you have regular meetings with the account manager. I call it then the person in the company, not the club president, but in the company who is for Toastmasters the account manager, so you can discuss the progress. Is something going right or does something need to be improved? So that's a totally different approach for community club or for corporate club. Corporate club, you have to sell the product that it becomes a part of the organization's educational program. And that is, for me, a guarantee for success. And then I'm convinced that the lifespan of a corporate club is longer than 2 years. I had just visited a corporate club in the Netherlands from SWIFT. That is the banking system for or they take care of all the international banking transfers. They meet from 11 till 12. It's supported by the management. They are everything is paid by the management, and it's really a part of the organization. So, and that's so really for me the essential difference between community club and corporate club. Questions for this?
Yes. How does a university club fit into this?
I think university clubs, that's a very good one. I just went to last week, I was invited to Rotterdam School of Management for MBA programs. Mm-hmm. And they, as MBA program, are now starting a Toastmasters club. It's already has the 26 members. But they are promoting it as a part of the program, educational program. They give the facilities, but the members have to pay for themselves. That is the part of themselves. But it's still anchored in the organization itself. Because in a university club, you see a transition in, okay, students are leaving the university because they finished their education. New students come in. So if it's not anchored in the organization, it's a private initiative from some students, it's not so, I think, sustainable. If it's a part of the, let's say, the university itself, the program of the university, and they promote it too, then there's more possibilities for success, how I see it.
Okay, thanks. We're thinking of starting a club up at Oswego State University with the business section there, and just wonder if you had any tips for us for that.
I can bring you in contact with the person who started that club in Rotterdam, and I can because I haven't got the inside information how to start it, but he can give you all the information. If you send me later an email with your information, I will send it to you.
Okay. Do you have your email address?
I will send it later. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Jaap.
Oh, thanks, Jaap. If I may tag on to that and maybe help answer some questions for Dan as well. A number of years ago, I helped start a university club at SUNY Albany, one of the state university schools in the area. And that club did pretty well for the first year or so, but once the students moved on, it started to have a challenge. And the way that club was set up, there was very little to no faculty staff participation in that club. And it lasted for a number of years, but it was never successful. I wanted to share that because you're absolutely right. It has to be anchored in the university. It needs to be more for faculty staff with students who are available to participate, being able to participate. I think that's the best model for a university club.
I want to add something to it. If you, just like for corporate club, if you want to sell this product, then you need salespeople to go to the company or to university to sell this product. Not everybody can do that.
Yes, agreed.
So, okay, Gillian, you have raised your hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to that. I do think that faculty are important, but faculty can start. But we actually have a very successful club, Dan. I'm going to connect you, but it's called Tiger Tales. It's at
Yeah.
Rochester Institute for Technology, and it's actually the alumni that more or less run that.
Oh, great.
And what they do is they go and they are very aggressive with speechcraft, and they bring in students almost every semester through a
Okay.
speechcraft.
Oh, so Speechcraft. Okay,
That's a nice
That
idea.
is one of our most high performing clubs
Yeah.
in the current District 65, and that is based on a university model. So, Dan, we'll chat.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for all the suggestions everybody's given me.
That's a great idea. Yes. Some other questions. What do you think about my idea about the different approach between community club and corporate club? Do you recognize that, or? Betty Ann raised her hand. See, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, all of these are great comments, and it is the sustainability because we've always had that issue, and we have that issue in clubs within 53 where the semester ends, but they become paper members until they continue on into the next segment and come back to school. So the MBA programs that I've seen work well are in Lisbon, where it's the MBA students, as others have said, connecting with the alumni. So the basis of the clubs, whether it's a college club, university, being able to start but not use the word club. It's a big turnoff for universities. And we've all read Pat Johnson's book on that. It continues to be used quite a bit. It appears a little bit cliquish. And in District 65, they didn't do that. It was sold, and it is sold. It's sales. It's sold to the university, and it's impressed upon them on taking the onus off of the school and embracing the students with that sustainability. So when chartering any university college club, whether it's MBA or Basket Weavers University, it's an ability to embrace the current and the past, or the present, the past, and the future of all of those people, and the investment of bringing back in members that are now alumni and being introduced differently. So it's really just the sustainability of that. And it's been done very well. So just as long as it continues to be no one offering a university that a Toastmasters club and Pathways is going to work, because they look at you like you have three heads. They don't know what Pathways is. They don't want their students to be part of a club, just like a corporate club. It doesn't exist, and it will fail exponentially. So keep it the Toastmasters education value for a very inexpensive price, and to add to the exposure of the university. They want to be known, and it adds to the value of the university. So thank you for bringing that up. It was a really good point. It's commonly overlooked. I know it has been overlooked quite a bit within this district too, early on, where just get that sustainability. So thank you.
Okay. It's good that you mentioned, Betty Ann, sold. Has to be sold to university or to corporate companies. Yeah.
Yeah, and people don't like to hear that, which is irrelevant, because you have to be able to sell it. You don't need to be a salesperson, and if you don't like sales, that's fine. Understand that different words being used, you must sell it. And there are other things that can be done within the organization to get all the other forms filled out and then back into the membership aspect. And it goes very quickly. I love chartering clubs.
Okay, Jeff.
Yeah, if I may chime in for a second. Betty Ann's mentioned Pat Johnson's book, and I know some of us have read it here and some of us haven't. the concept of using the word club can be a separational tactic. I've seen it in a corporate environment. Years ago, when I was the club growth director, back when ESPN had an office in Connecticut, we got an entree to ESPN from an employee and went to talk to the folks in HR. And this was long before Pat's book and the concept of approaching corporations with this being a training program for part of their training portfolio. This is when we still regularly use the word club. And the conversation ended in about 2 minutes, because once they heard the word club, they say, we do not allow clubs here. We're trying to keep a union out of ESPN. So sorry, no clubs. Have a nice day. So the approach of being part of the training program, whether it be for a university or whether it be for a corporate environment, I think is really, really important to bring that up front. That's why I wanted to draw attention to it. And your point about leaving out words, Betty Ann, like pathways and evaluations and all the technical terms. Yeah, we want to sell the benefits. We want to sell the values, not the geeky technical stuff we do.
Yeah. I think you mentioned, Jeff, the book from Pat Johnson.
Yes.
Everybody who hasn't read it yet, please read it, because it's a very important book if you want to know how the corporate lingo is.
And just real quick before I say that, if you send this book to a corporate club, that's the wrong approach.
No.
The book is very, very, very unequivocally designed how to sell a corporate club. So if you give that book as a gift, it's like they go, oh my gosh, this is how they looped us in. It's bad results. Yeah. And you will hear about it because I've seen it. Don't do it.
Yeah. It's the corporate program, what you talk about. Yeah. Okay, some other question. Okay, then I give the word to Jackie on this.
Yeah, thanks, Jaap. So for the next part of the portion of our workshop today, we originally had intended on doing breakout sessions, but I think for the purpose of our workshop today, we're going to have an open discussion with everybody who's on the Zoom meeting today, because I think that's where we generate the most ideas and where we have the most fruitful discussions. So I have a couple of questions that I'm going to pose to everyone here, and feel free to put your virtual hand up to add some comments, or feel free to put your comments in the chat. Jackie and I will be monitoring that. So my first question for all of you here today, now that you've heard a little bit about the checklists that Jaap has presented on starting community clubs and starting company clubs, what do you think are some of the challenges that you would face in starting a new Toastmasters club? Yeah, go ahead, Betty Ann. I saw your hand go up first.
Understanding the process. And that's really crucial. It's just like your own club. You don't walk up to somebody and before you say hi, you say, oh, are you interested in joining the club? You want to, some do. But it's talking. We're all brilliant speakers, all of us, regardless of whether we're new or seasoned. Being able to talk about the value and what's important, and having that interest, giving that 1 to 2 minute table topic to have them go, oh, tell me more. So know that value and go into it from the heart, meaningful, and they will be attracted. So I think the biggest challenge is people that are teams that are trying to charter a club have an attack approach. You know, where we've got this, do you want to be interested in, well, I don't know. Invite people to a Toastmasters meeting. Invite them to come together and use the sister club, or the sponsor club. I call them sisters because I'm biased and old. There's a section on the charter form that asks for 2 sponsor clubs. You don't want a high-performing club coming in And you don't want high performance trainers coming in and speaking and giving eloquent speeches and everybody's going, my God, I can't do this. Get a low flying club. Find a club that you have that has 7 and 8 members and say, we need your talents. We need to have a meeting. Would you be able to perform the roles for a really abbreviated meeting? Now they feel special. And then the people coming in feel special. And if you don't have an icebreaker speech because the club is 70 years old, tell them to look like it's an icebreaker speech. And give a new member an opportunity to give the prepared speech. So it's just the flip on, you don't have to push it. You have to be able to entertain and bring people into the value. And that's the biggest challenge that teams are not and have not been trained to do in district leadership training, club officer, any of those trainings, where they can know the difference on how to approach it. That's our biggest challenge, and I think it's a challenge worldwide as well.
I would like to add something to it, what you said, Betty Ann. When we started our club, the Leiden Toastmasters, we invited a speaker from another club, a young speaker, just gives his second or third speech. And halfway his speech, he lost his text. We all waited. And then he suddenly took his notes and then started continuing with his speech. That gave us 5, 6 new members. Because everybody say, that can happen to me too. And how they treated him so respectful. And that was really the safe environment what we showed. That was really. Jackie, I saw you. Yeah.
Thank you. First, I want to call attention to the chat. Jillian says, all the paperwork is a challenge. Shanta adds, identifying the target audience is a challenge. Donna adds, deciding a demographic and where to advertise the club. These are all really, really good challenges. One that I want to add as well, I'm in the process of taking a prospective club to charter strength, and a challenge is getting 17 completely new members, where you can have either new members or a transfer member, as long as they're a member of only one club and they are transferring that membership completely to your prospective club. It is challenging to do. And one of the things that we've been doing for Writers Forum Toastmasters is, and Jaap, you've mentioned some of this during your presentation, is we are reaching out to writers clubs where we have networks. We are going to libraries and putting up flyers. We are posting on social media and extending to our networks and asking our networks to please share with their networks. In particular, this is a specialty club, so we also have a bit of a hook. And Betty Ann, this speaks to what you were saying in terms of how to sell it with Writers Forum Toastmasters as a specialty club. The hook is writing to be read is different than writing to be heard. And it is specifically encouraging writers to learn how to become stronger public speakers to help with their pitches and their readings.
Okay. Marty.
I am very intrigued by your commentary, Jaap, regarding getting funds from people who are prospective members and or interested in a chartering club. I'm in District 2, and we've not found a successful way to do that. And what we have experienced as a result is that the space between when a Toastmasters club idea is pitched and an interested party expresses an interest, and then when the actual chartering occurs, there's such a gap that people aren't able to maintain the momentum and the interest that they've had. And I know that when there's skin in the game, they're more likely to stay connected. We just haven't figured out how to get money from them. And the bigger challenge that I have encountered directly is that everyone can do the icebreaker project because we have that available and that is permissibly distributed to prospective members, but they kind of get stuck there. We can tell them what the next steps are, but obviously because they're not formally members, they don't have access to Basecamp and to progress in pathways. And so that time, I just don't know. I want to echo what Jackie just said about the magic number of 17. It's really challenging to get 20 people that are interested in doing this and not have a way to collect money from them, especially if you might be waiting for like one or two stragglers so that you're able to actually charter the club. So anything that anyone wants to suggest for how to deal with collecting money before a club is a club, and or how you address access to pathways beyond the icebreaker project, I would appreciate. Thank you.
Okay. Somebody.
Yep, I've got some information that can
Okay.
help Marty.
Okay. Great.
Marty, I just posted a link into the chat for the new club resources page on the TI website. I don't know if you've seen that before. This is specifically set up to help burgeoning clubs reach charter strength and things to do between the day they start forming, the day they charter. There's 3 tabs on the bottom: club officers, meeting materials, and level 1 projects. And what I love about this is that most folks feel that the icebreaker is the only one available, but this specific page gives you access to the first 4 projects. And this might be very helpful for figuring out what to do while you're chartering and to keep the momentum going.
And I think so too, if you momentum, try to get members of other clubs to your, let's say, demo meetings, that you do not sit there with 7 or 8 people. Try to get members who want to help you. And it's a little bit selling too. You have to inspire or motivate people to come. But it's great. If there's the vibe, if there's energy in the room, people want to join. If there's not energy in the room, people do not want to join. That is the crux. I think that's very essential to be successful in your charter process.
Something that I want to add is after the demo meeting, don't stop there. Hold pre-charter meetings. In terms of building that momentum. And another selling point is being a charter member, you get to help design the culture of the club. And that's really exciting. And there's a way to bottle that. And so hold the pre-charter meetings. You don't need to have 20 people there. Let's say only 7 people show up. That's okay. That's okay. Have an abbreviated meeting and expand more of a Q&A to talk about next steps and start filling roles for the next pre-charter meeting. Don't wait to hold those meetings.
Oh yeah, for me, demo meetings and pre-charter meetings are a little bit the same. Okay, but it's important is have the energy, and if people pay the dues immediately, they're committed, and you can ask them to take a next step in a responsibility too, because they're already a member of the club. As they see it this way. That's let them pay immediately. That's as soon as they are interested and fill in the form, let them pay. Because then they are committed and want to do an extra step to make the club successful.
All right, so I'm going to steer us a little bit on the conversation. We've talked about lots of the challenges that we face when chartering new clubs: paperwork, process, money, pathways. And I would love to hear from some of you who have successfully chartered clubs. What can be done to overcome some of these challenges? What are some tools or techniques we could use to overcome these? Jillian, I saw your hand go up right away.
I beat Betty Ann. I can't believe I beat Betty Ann to this.
There you go. You got it, girl. Go.
So, a wise mentor of our district, wonder who that is, Betty Ann, was talking about the paperwork. So I get caught with a club that I was helping sponsor with the paperwork. I think we forget that TI staff are there to support us. TI staff are fantastic when it comes to supporting members in building clubs. They have a lot of tools, a lot of information, and if there's a challenge, they are there to help the sponsors. Because again, one bit of feedback that we got was there is a lot of paperwork for a brand new club. And at this point, it was just before the ATO went virtual. So again, they had to deal with all the paperwork, the forms 1 through to 6B. And they kept saying to me, why am I filling out something that is an amendment to the club that's not even started? And I said, it's purely a process to ensure that you are supported through your journey of the club lifetime. So again, it's having that information as a sponsor and knowing how to fill out that paperwork and who to call at TI to get that support. And I know I've probably stolen some of Betty Ann's thunder on that one, but I will shut up now and say thank you for listening.
To the chair, Jaap, thank you. The best thing that came across is within the paperwork, keeping the paperwork within the district. When you're able to start having forms flying to TI, they don't know how to write the subject line. The most effective aspect of what I have learned in chartering all the clubs that I've chartered here and in other countries, it's the simplicity of getting your team, getting your sponsors and your mentors. They are the heavy lifters. It is not up to the club growth director to charter clubs. It's not on their, everyone here, it's not the process. It's the idea of having your team, and your team is not 10 committees. Your team are your sponsors and your mentors. The most important part of that aspect and best practice for me has been getting connected with the program quality director, finding out what Toastmaster in our district is close to achieving their Distinguished Toastmaster designation. They've served as an officer. They're ready to go. They just need that one step. Use that as your sales approach. If you don't want to call it sales, don't worry about it. Use it as a nice enticement that you're going to help them, but you want to include them in your response to anyone that's interested. We all get leads. We can't take a lead and say, thanks, and send it off to a committee member, and then everybody's talking to Toastmasters International. But Jillian's point is, as club growth director, that staff is your secretary. They are your office operators, and they'll help you. So when you respond, it works well to a perspective, even a community club. We have many community clubs that are going to charter, and they want to know what's going on. Simplify the process by saying, I'm glad you're doing this. I've included the club sponsor and mentor. They're going to be your direct contact. And always ask them to send the paperwork back to you, because everyone knows that you should know, on the application to organize it, ask for an area and a division. We just want to check that. Now you're able to send it to TI with all the necessary requirements, and those numbers can change, just like a club. It's a placeholder. Put it in this division, in this area. It could be A, and then it becomes Z, and then it becomes P. It doesn't matter. It's a placeholder. So you've got an ability, and that's going to help your challenge with the paperwork. And then the other ones are, again, placeholders. We don't have a president. We don't have a secretary. Oh, my gosh. You're going to be electing them. It's a placeholder. Let's get Form 4 in with these 3 crucial roles. So simplifying the process, and it's no different than talking to your kids and knowing that your people behind you, your grandmas and grandpas with all that voice, is that Toastmasters staff. But you can funnel it in. to the club growth director so that those check marks can go in and they can submit it on behalf. They don't have to send it back. Please, the contact for this club, and always use the club number and PN numbers. Don't say Teddy Bear Toastmasters, because Billy and Sally are the sponsors. Doesn't work. Keep it simple, keep it cohesive, and that is you're going to see it rise exponentially. Sorry, didn't mean to go on so long.
Thanks, Betty Ann. Appreciate your insights. And I agree with including the prospective club number anytime you communicate with world headquarters to make sure that they're pulling the correct information and working with you on the correct club. I think that's a practice that we've continued on this year for District 53. So yeah, that's a great point. And for anybody who's working with prospective clubs and their capacities, that's an important point to make sure that you distinguish yourself using your identifier as your prospective club number. I want to, Mohan, before I get to your question, I want to go on to my second question here as we've got about a half hour left in time. I want to keep us moving in the discussion. My next discussion point, I think anybody on the call here could answer, and it would be nice to hear from some folks who maybe haven't had a chance to speak yet. My second question is, what are some of the misconceptions you've heard about Toastmasters? Whether before you were a member or as you're a member today, what are some misconceptions you hear when talking with folks about Toastmasters? Mohan, if you want to take a stab at this question, feel free, but I saw that Dan also put his hand up.
That's okay. All I was going to say is when I first joined Toastmasters quite a long time ago, I remember I thought it was kind of a bunch of snooty people, really, that got together at that time, and drank and had spoke or something like that. So I don't know if the snootiness thing still holds, that people say, well, Toastmasters, that sounds like a exclusive organization or something like that. And you have to be able to show people that it's not just for certain types of people, but it's for everybody, and anybody can use Toastmasters to be able to improve their communication leadership skills.
Very good. Thank you, Dan. I saw that Jackie put in the chat, Toastmasters is expensive. Yeah, it's if you compare it to some workshops and seminars out there, it's real expensive. That costs thousands of dollars to attend for maybe 2 or 3 days. Yeah. Another comment I saw here is that from Colette, Toastmasters is only about public speaking. There is way more to being a member of Toastmasters than just public speaking. I completely agree with that, Colette. Oh, I see some more chatter. Nope, I don't. My Zoom was just telling me to scroll down the page. All right, Mohan, do you want to share some insight?
I have some background, then question to Jaap. After your first session, I met with my friend who works for Infosys from India, Infosys company from India. I asked him, hey, you have been part of Toastmaster. Can you bring your colleagues? We will come and introduce about Toastmasters, which we did. I took Beth McIntyre, past district director. 32 people attended, and we had a great meeting. After a week, he texted me, Mohan, my company offered the venue, but not the membership. I spoke with Liz, and we are in communication with him, and he agreed to bring the people for demo session. So now my question comes here. What should I include in an agenda and go and demonstrate that attracts the employees to become members? What agenda should include? One speech, one table topics. What do you recommend? I want to convert. I want to close it quickly.
I think for me more important is, what does the company want? If the company says it's not interesting for me to have a Toastmasters club over here, a Toastmaster program over here in this organization, then you're pulling a dead horse. If you want to create an employee initiative, great, but that's a big burden on the employees who want to run this club. If the organization, the company, doesn't see this as an important part of their, let's say, training, then it's a difficult job. Because then you have, in the beginning, a lot of people want to join this, let's say, then it becomes a club in the organization, but because it's not supported by the organization itself, it doesn't become their priority one. So that's my concern. And I really like to discuss with you, how can we have a discussion with the management about how can we make the Toastmasters program important for the organization? Because that is really, for me, if there's no anchor in the organization, it's very difficult to start. That is my concern.
Okay.
And
I'm very surprised.
I saw a comment too about it's so expensive. You can never make it too expensive. Let's say, in a volunteer world, I see if we have an event and we ask €10, people think it's expensive. It must be €5, $5. But if you ask $25, it's too expensive because it always is too expensive. But I'm paying 250 euros per year or dollars per year. Now that is $10 or $20 per month. That is just $10 for an evening. If I go out to the bar for the same time, I spend more than $10 for the drinks I drink. So for me, Toastmasters is a learning environment and it's an entertainment too. I'm out for a whole evening. I enjoy myself the whole evening, listening to the speeches, being active. The selling product is not only the training, but the let's say, you are an event where you learn and have fun. If you only make it a learning thing, people have to go to school. That is something else. No, I go to a Toastmaster evening to meet my friends and have fun. And at the same time, I learn something too. And I think that is what Smedley meant too. You don't go for learning, you go for the fun and the learning at the same time. So Toastmasters can never be expensive. I see Marty here.
You referenced the fact that you need to have an anchor, and I want to agree with that. There are two things in my experience of onboarding corporate programs. And the first is that you need an internal champion who is in leadership. Frequently, we are contacted by a worker in the organization, and that's not bad, but it is not ideal. It is better to have an executive reach out to you to say that they would like to invite Toastmasters into their company. And I have found the most compelling argument to make for why a company wants to partner with Toastmasters is the ability for you in a proprietary setting to use Toastmasters as a test for work that your workers actually have to do. If they've got a presentation they need to make, there's no exposure when they're only addressing people that are already in your organization. If there are skills that you want your sales team, for example, to be able to work on refining, they can do that in the context of a Toastmasters program because you've presented it organizationally as a training partnership. I also go as far as to say the human resources function in any corporate entity considering Toastmasters should be super excited because this does a part of their job. If you have an employee who has challenges communicating and you want to figure out how to improve that performance, you can work with Toastmasters so that their participation in the club helps to build skills that you know that they're going to need. And it is even more potent when the company can say, not only are we telling you we want you to have these skills, we are providing the mechanism through which you can have those skills. It's been really challenging, but our most recent success is with Amazon Global Logistics. They were super excited about the ability to bring their team together to work on specific challenges that they encounter in their environment. And that was the reason that we were able to get buy-in from the organization. And the minute that the organization said, hey, here's a new resource for you to take advantage of, that was tantamount to saying to the workers, we approve this. And if you want to be able to be upwardly mobile and navigate our environment, you will participate in it, because it looks good when you're supporting what the bosses are making available for you. So champion, anchor, very important, but also look for the what's in it for the company. Every company is different, but generally when you say to them that they can use that club for their business related needs, because they're all aligned with communication and or leadership, that's a fact.
It must
It's
be in a
really
win-win
easy.
situation. Yeah. Just what you said. I totally agree with you, Marty. That's great. Yeah. It must be a win-win situation for the employees and for the organization. Yeah.
I will also echo that. I really appreciated, Marty, you talking about Toastmasters for a corporation as a place for employees to practice their skills and to test their skills out maybe before giving a big presentation. That's an excellent point. All right, I see a couple more hands up here. Our incoming club growth director for District 53, Joseph.
Thank you, Liz. I've participated along with some other TI members at tables at community events, and it's always interesting. We see people who really are very set in their ways, and when they start passing our table, they're averting their eyes, hoping that we don't engage with them, and trying to get past us and stuff. We've gotten in front of the table a little bit more to be a little bit more engaging. We start off with, do you know what Toastmasters is? And we start asking them, do you really understand how you can benefit from what we have to offer you? And the misconception, it's already been stated, oh, but I don't get in front of crowds to speak. I don't get in front of people. And we've started to change it from public speaking to communications, and it's communications at any level, be it family, friends, children, you name it. And they said, and some people have said, wow, I could use more communication skills with my family. And we try and make it relatable in seriousness, but it's partially joking. I said, in the last few years, my relationship with my wife has improved because we're communicating better, largely because of that. And I try not to get into the money or time, try and focus more on the why, and just say, look, it's free. If you're interested, we can make arrangements. But this is what we're trying to do, is create the better community awareness, and what's the value proposition for them.
Yeah, thanks, Joseph. Really great points there with tabling community events and finding the value proposition. I appreciate all your thoughts and insights. Stefan, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but I'd love to call on you next as your hand is up.
Thank you so much, Liz. Anything but Stefan. I like. I am the area director for Area 41 in District 65, and I'm also the VP of membership for the third time in my club. And one of the things that my club has noticed is when somebody has a role of giving speeches in their work, because our club is, even though it's at Cornell University, it's an open club. So people come into our meetings and I actually look at them, and some of them, their mouths are open. They're like, wow, how on earth do you pack so much stuff into 1 hour? And they're like, so they're just blown away. And then the result is sometimes they go back to their companies or their departments, and almost every group has a professional development speech part. So we get invited to essentially put on a mini meeting, and we get signups all the time from, go ahead. Yeah.
I really love what you say, because those people who have say, okay, can be beneficial from a company or can be a good lead to get in contact with the decision maker in the company. And then if you have in district a special team who is taking care of approaching corporate organizations to talk with the management, Because if you talk with the management, you must be on an equal level. That people say, okay, you can talk management talk. It is a different way. If you are not convinced from yourself and you talk to the management, they don't take you serious. You must talk on an equal level so people take you serious. And those people can give you a lead to the person who can make the decision. And then a district team could say, we approach this organization and start building the relationship on that level. And then you can create your anchor. But there are people who say that beneficial can create a good lead for a corporate organization.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have open houses. We have like what's the word? Themed meetings. Like we have like a spook master for Halloween.
Okay.
And our treasurer actually has been encouraging us to put on lavish things because we usually have an excess of money, so we don't mind spending on an ice cream social or a wine and cheese event, different things just to make it look professional and engaging, and bring your spouse to or bring your kid to club days, different things. And our club is growing, so I think two more things. Ithaca, because of the pandemic, the clubs reduced, so they only have two corner clubs now. But Ithaca College used to have a club, and they used to have a downtown club. And some faculty from Ithaca College have been playing with the idea of joining our members so that we could empower them to go back and restart a previously running club. So as long we find out the second thing, if we show a very fun loving club, it's like joking and snacks and speaking afterwards, and even mentoring people in the first meeting, then it breaks the ice immediately. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for all those great ideas. I think doing fun themed meetings or having social events for your club. I know Jaap always, when he talks with us, he shares all the different social events that his clubs in the Netherlands hold. And I think it's a great way to build community and bring people together. I will ask if anyone has any burning questions or thoughts they have before I hand control back to Jaap to close us out. Yeah, Marty, go ahead.
Really quickly, I just want to give props to District 71. I recently attended a meeting in their district with one of their advanced clubs, and their topics master turned their table topics session into an Olympics. They created groups randomly. They had two people respond to the same question. The winner then moved on to the next level. They did that 3 times until there was a final winner. And it was, in my estimation, because of the time difference, such a good thing for me, because it was very early for me in the middle of the day for them. But every guest in that session, and I think that they were outnumbered by guests almost 2-1. Every guest said that when they heard that, they were like, they couldn't envision how Toastmasters could be competitive in that particular way. But when they showed up and they were given the framework, everyone did it. No one had the prep to know that they were going to be participating in these Olympics, but they all agreed to do it. And many of their guests were completely not Toastmasters exposed. So that idea of a theme or finding a way to create cohesion in a group and something that's interesting, timely, and sexy, we should be doing that anyway because it keeps us as members engaged, but it is really enticing to prospects. Thanks.
Okay.
Wow, Marty, thank you for sharing. I've learned so much about different types of meetings and varieties today. I've even heard Colette, one of our area directors on the call today, has mentioned, and I think Sharon has mentioned as well, that one of our clubs does a special themed meeting about the Oscars and has a red carpet and talks specifically about the Oscar winners every year. So I think these are just some really fun things that we can incorporate into our clubs and encourage members to, join and become members of our club. So Jaap, at this point, with 15 minutes left, I'll turn it back to you for any closing remarks.
Okay. Now, my purpose for today was talking about, okay, how do you build a club? And I'm just making a distinction, community club or corporate, we call it a club, but I click is make it part of the organization. That is really important. And why? I think building clubs has benefits for everybody. In the first place, it helps you in your development as a person. If you want to be stepping out of your comfort zone, building a club is a great opportunity to do that, because you have to find a way, find your people who want to work with, try to motivate people, try to inspire people, try to find a way, okay, how can you make from nothing something? And that is really a great opportunity. That's another part is every club has an own identity. So if you created a club, it creates a club within a community club, it always creates its own identity, and you are part then of this identity. The clubs always belonged to was always, I created once a corporate club. I was the anchor in the organization, was the manager, and we organized always. We did the meeting after work time at 5:30, but before that we had pizzas or Chinese or other things ready. People could eat first, and then we had our meeting for 90 minutes. People loved it. It was great. Yes, we created kind of a social event before, and everybody was able to do that. And what I noticed is, for me, there are people who are in my organization then, who were not able to speak. After 9 months, I could send it to a client to give him presentation. And and people saw this benefit in this organization. For what's in it for them, what's in it for me, that's important. You have to always ask people. So if you want to train your people in building clubs, you have to find out too, what's in it for them? What can they learn to build a club? I have seen a lot of benefits in how to, if you want to become a club builder. I call it a club builder, and I think as a district you have to give them training in this. You grow as communicator because you have to communicate. Leadership without communication does not exist. The better you communicate, the better, more successful you can be. And you develop real leadership skills, not in the Toastmasters organization, only in the club, but outside the club, because you have to sell something. You have to create something. You strengthen your coaching and mentoring abilities. Project management, because it's not, let's start a club. You have to create what kind of steps do you have to take to achieve this goal. I remember one of the steps we had in our process was creating a public relations plan. Okay, and then the newspaper was one of the aspects, the local newspaper. And I wrote an article, and I worked for a governmental organization at that moment, and I thought, let's bring it to the public relations department, how they think about this article. And he came back, he said, Jaap, it is a very nice article, but it's written out of passion. It will not sell to the public. And they rewrote the whole article in a more business style. And what happened? We sent it to the newspaper and was copied, came in the newspaper without any change, because it was written in a journalist style. So that are aspects that you can learn if you create a supportive community. If you build together with a team, a club, a community club, the team becomes bigger and bigger. Because if you only stay with the 3 people who want to start it, no, everybody who wants to be involved, add them to the community and give them a responsibility. Because then together we build a club. And if you build a club and you can say, I am the charter member, you can be proud of that. You build a legacy for yourself in the future. And I've participated in building 5 or 6 clubs in the Netherlands. And I still am proud of what I've done. And I still, if I visit one of the clubs I participated in the development, I can still say to them, I was the charter member of your club 20 years ago. And they look at me, and that's great. And that's, I'm proud of that. So, and my challenge for you all is, if you want to start a club, think about it with a group of people. Don't think about, I'm going to start a club. No, it's always, we going to start a club. Try to find a group of people who want to say, we want to create a legacy for our community. And if you think about corporate clubs, I think it's great if you can extend your network in a corporate organization. And as your future club growth director, Joseph, I would advise you, create a kind of committee who can speak the corporate language and can sell the product through the corporate environment. And this corporate, let's say this corporate entity, this corporate department, what you have then as a subcommittee, can be proud to extend a network to a corporate environment and sell this product. It's not selling the club, but selling the educational program, the product to the organization. And that's a great way to extend your network and extend the Toastmasters clubs in the district. My plan was to tell something about both aspects of corporate building, of club building, and I enjoyed it, and I really hope that you can have some benefit from it, that it gives some discussion, because I think you have to do it, and most important is, don't do it on your own, but create with a group of people, a small committee, who say, and we're going to set up something special, something new. And that was my intention. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jaap, again, for facilitating our session. And I hope everybody learned a little bit about the club building process and how to get started with a community or a corporate club. And I want to wish you all a great Saturday morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're joining us from today. Thanks so much for participating, and get out of here. Go enjoy your Saturdays.